From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 7, streaming now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Mullins. New at 7, a group of Hoosiers say they had to choose between some of their voting rights and exposing themselves to COVID during the election. A lawsuit filed today accuses the Indiana Election Commission and Secretary of State of discrimination against voters who are blind or have low vision. The lawsuit says those Hoosiers can only vote at home by appointment with a board of election officials, and that violates their rights to vote independently and privately. The lawsuit, filed by 3 plaintiffs and 2 organizations, is not seeking any money. They're asking for changes to the system to make voting accessible to everyone. Today, the Indiana State Department of Health reported more than 8,000 additional cases of COVID-19 across the state. Between November 21st and the 27th, almost a quarter of Hoosiers that got tested for the virus found out they were COVID positive. We'll show you the graphic here. An additional 84 people died from COVID between November 24th and yesterday. The Regent Street Institute says the rate of positive tests and COVID hospitalizations are increasing. The CDC is warning the United States has entered a new phase of the pandemic. The agency is predicting up to 50,000 more Americans could die from COVID-19 by the day after Christmas. With a widespread vaccine still months away, officials say now is the time to double down on precautions like wearing masks and social distancing. The CDC says masks are especially important because of new research that shows half of the new COVID infections are transmitted by people who do not have symptoms. Indiana's workforce is feeling the impact of the surging COVID-19 pandemic. We've told you how local hospitals are struggling with a shortage of medical staff. Now WRTV is taking a look at what skyrocketing COVID rates mean for central Indiana schools. WRTV's Cameron Riddle found out why a shortage of teachers and support staff could be the deciding factor when districts decide between virtual or in-person learning.
Getting back to in-person class and putting virtual learning in the rearview mirror is on the Christmas list of many Central Indiana students and parents, including Charlie Little. Her 2 North Central High School students have spent the majority of this school year in a virtual classroom.
It's okay for them. They can do it. That we have physical space to do it, but it's a struggle. I mean, it's hard to pay attention to a Zoom thing for 6 hours a day.
Students were initially removed from the classroom to stop the spread of COVID-19, but now the pandemic is impacting school staffing.
We have seen a substantial decline in what we refer to as our substitute fill rate.
Matt Kaiser is the Director of Human Resources for Washington Township Schools. He says there have been days this year when they were so strapped for teachers and without enough substitutes, they had to pull administrators out of their offices and into the classroom.
Pre-COVID, days would typically be into an 80 to an 85% fill rate. And during this time period, we have seen those numbers dip into 40 to 45%. So we often will have multiple positions in buildings that are not covered.
The staffing battle in Washington Township Schools is not at all unique to just the north side of Indianapolis. It's an issue districts across the state are dealing with every day.
I would say that based upon the feedback that we're receiving, it is a critical need.
Brad Beckner is with Kelly Services, a company 30 Indiana school districts use to find substitute teachers. He says the demand for more substitutes is extremely high, as well as calls for substitute bus drivers, custodians, and other support staff.
A substitute teacher, instructional professionals to support educational excellence and student achievement is critical. But that can't happen without the additional support of the other positions that are required for a school district to operate successfully.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Well, even schools that are operating virtually need substitute teachers and assistants to help with e-learning. If you are interested in subbing in a classroom or on a bus route, you can check the employment section of each school district's website or go to mykellyjobs.com to see openings in multiple school districts.
Well, we had a pretty warm day today. We had a high of 50 degrees in Indianapolis. Average high for this time of year is 43. So we were much warmer today, but that's going to change over the next couple days. We are going to drop off quite a bit. Right now, already seeing those temperatures falling for tonight, 38 degrees in Indianapolis. We do have light winds out of the west. Those are going to start to shift and become more northerly, which is going to help filter in some cooler air. What's going on is we have this system just to the south of us that passed to the south of Indiana today, and that brought some cloud coverage to the area. We're starting to see some of that clear out now this evening, and we're going to continue to see it clear as we head overnight. Temperatures are going to continue falling to the freezing range by midnight, and then by tomorrow morning, much colder temperatures on the way. We're starting in the 20s. Now that is average for this time of year for our daytime start, but we're going to be a bit below average as we head into the afternoon. The good news is there is some sunshine in the forecast this weekend. I'll have those details in just a few minutes.
We'll see you soon, Alyssa. Thank you. Some distilleries say they are at risk of shutting down if Congress does not extend existing tax breaks. WRTV's Stephanie Wade talks with a local craft distillery that explains why this significant tax increase could make 2021 very difficult for small businesses.
Businesses like bars and local distilleries have been hit hard by the pandemic with the added safety restrictions. Now, if this federal excise tax doesn't get extended, some say it could close their business for good.
It's a major difference in how we can budget for future growth into 2021 and beyond.
Travis Barnes says they've had to get innovative at Hotel Tango Distillery in Fountain Square to keep their doors open and continue serving craft cocktails.
We've had to reorganize our seating. We've had to add seating outside. We've came up with new cocktails, new canned cocktails for folks, carry-out options. So, yeah, just really trying to shift and pivot with all of the new and updated regulations.
On top of this is the fear of a 400% tax increase next year if Congress doesn't extend the Craft Beverage Modernization and Tax Reform Act by December 31st.
So jump from around $250 up to $13.50 overnight.
Last year, they passed a one-year extension of the federal excise tax to allow businesses to expand.
That would be hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional taxes that we would pay over the next year and years. So that's job creation, equipment, and our ability to growth would really be impacted by that additional taxation.
Barnes says this disproportionately impacts craft distilling because of the threshold of taxation.
At 100,000 gallons is really where the first break would occur. So Jim Beam and Jack Daniels make that in the first 2 days of the year, where us, we would not even come close to that for next year. So that's the big difference on who it really impacts. It's the small guys, not the big guys.
Thanking the community who supported them already and urging people to contact our Indiana senators to extend the excise tax.
If it keeps the taxes low, you'll see more craft spirits growing in Indiana.
Stephanie Wade, WRTV.
And we will attach a link at the bottom of this story online at WRTV.com to contact your senator directly. Small businesses have been hit the hardest throughout this pandemic, as we've been reporting. The ones still open and serving customers have adapted to an ever-changing situation. WRTV's Cornelius Hawker shows you what experts say about hope on the horizon and how one local business is getting by until then.
Like a lot of small businesses, the Flying Cupcakes owner, Kate Drury, is just happy they're able to be open after being closed for around a month and a half. But since reopening in the spring, she's had to navigate the ever-changing and confusing guidelines.
At that time, we were required to wear masks, but other people weren't necessarily. A lot of people were anyway, but some people were choosing not to, and they didn't have to at that time.
Kate could not wait on the government to give out guidelines to best keep her employees, customers, and herself safe, so she came up with a plan.
We decided to do a setup that would kind of keep them safe and us safe as much as we can by maximizing social distancing.
That setup creates at least 6 feet of space between customers and employees, 10 feet at times. You stand behind a table to pick out your cupcakes, and once you pay, they're slid to you in a container.
So I don't want them to be put at undue risk for just doing, selling cupcakes. So it's extremely important to me to keep them as safe as I can.
Dr. J.D. LaRock with the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship says what Kate has done is what all businesses should be doing, adapting.
We know that those mitigation efforts help limit community spread and thus help keep governments and local governments keep businesses open.
Despite good news about distribution of a vaccine, Dr. LaRock says businesses should not see this as a return to normal just yet.
Until we have more widespread delivery of the vaccine, small business owners, unfortunately, will probably need to search for additional solutions to help their cause.
Kate tells me that's what she's done, found solutions to a problem she never knew she'd face. So how do the customers feel about it?
That's amazing.
And that's what Kate likes to hear.
I love it.
Working for you in Carmel, Cornelius Hawker, WRTV.
Still ahead on the news at 7, doctors are changing up their recommendations for keeping kids safe from COVID while playing youth sports. But first, an annual fundraiser can't keep up with the community's generosity. The overwhelming support when the news at 7 continues. In Johnson County, a testament to goodwill and the call to action to step up to help those in need. On Thursday, people waited in line to make donations in exchange for a meal as part of a charity event to help 2 organizations. But before the event ended, organizers ran out of food. WRTV's Rafael Sanchez shows you that did not stop people from opening their wallets to help, even though they'd walk away empty-handed.
One pork chop and one
Pulled pork.
3 pork chop meals.
They're looking pretty good.
We haven't burnt it yet.
2 fried chicken.
Me need 3 pulled pork.
Just want me to set it down right here?
One vehicle after another.
FFA pork chops could not be better.
And they kept on coming.
It means a lot to me to see this kind of traffic.
I'm just thrilled that I see cars after car after car over there.
This was the scene at the Johnson County Fairgrounds.
I like pork chops, and I like the way they fix them. They are so good.
It's going very well. People are extremely generous, as they always are.
2 pulled pork and 2 pork chops.
2020, much different than these pictures from 2019, when people filled Scott Hall for the annual Jim Rhodes Memorial Hog Roast. The pandemic meant no dine-in, so this drive-through key to supporting the Interchurch Food Pantry, which has seen a spike in demand, as well as the Good Cheer Fund, which alone plans to pass out 800 food baskets before Christmas.
And we anticipate it being stronger this year than it ever has been. The schools right now are sending me a lot of applications. They're really close to those families and they have a good pulse on what's going on.
The Indian Creek FFA chapter and Malone's Catering provided the food. Franklin Rotary led the effort.
Careful with the bottoms.
This in uncharted territory, as many were concerned that COVID would keep people home.
Other events that we've seen that transition to a drive-through due to COVID this year, they've seen about 50 to 60% of the contributions that they have in the past.
There was not a set price on the meals. People gave what they could afford.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
In a year where all were afforded another option to work together. Working for you in Franklin, in Johnson County, Rafael Sanchez, WRTV.
A new warning for the families of young athletes. The American Academy of Pediatrics says players should wear cloth face masks during youth sports. The previous AAP recommendation suggested masks be worn on the sidelines, in between drills, or when entering or leaving athletic fields. That's been updated to include competition. In addition to wearing masks during games, the AAP also suggests that practice teams be kept small and that kids with COVID-19 symptoms sit out. The coronavirus has some people canceling their plans for the upcoming Olympics. Tokyo 2020 says about 18% of tickets for the event are being refunded. The organization says it plans to eventually resell those tickets. According to a press release, Tokyo 2020 is making every effort toward holding a safe and secure games next year. The president of the International Olympics Committee says he hopes a vaccine will allow the games to move ahead. They're scheduled to start on July 23rd.
And some beautiful holiday lights to show you this evening. This is from Julie Andrews of her house. Look at that Christmas tree. I have not seen a more perfect Christmas tree decked out for the holidays. If you want to see your holiday lights on WRTV, you can send your pictures to WRTV.com, and then you can watch at 7 p.m. to see your pictures. The winner will get tickets to the Christmas Nights of Lights, and this is a great night to go to that. We're going to see those temperatures dropping into the 30s this evening, a little bit cool this evening, but you'll be warm in your cars. We're going to see light northerly winds coming as we head into the morning hours, and then it is going to drop off, and it's going to be very chilly by tomorrow morning. What's going on right now is we had the system move through earlier today. That just brought us some cloud coverage. Now those clouds are starting to clear out, and they're going to continue to clear out of Indianapolis as we head overnight, which is going to allow that cooler air to take over and settle in, taking our temperatures down for tomorrow morning and throughout the weekend. That cooler air mass is going to be in place into the weekend and the start of next week. Tonight we'll drop into the 20s, which it's going to feel really chilly tomorrow morning, but that's actually average for this time of year with those clearing skies. Looking at our weekend, we'll be in the 40s. So today we hit 50 degrees, so we're going to drop about 10 degrees in the next 24 hours, and we'll be closer to our averages tomorrow. Usually we're in the low 40s this time of year. The good news is Saturday we'll see mostly sunny skies by the afternoon, even though it is going to be a little chilly outside. Sunday, a little bit more cloud coverage by the afternoon and evening, and then a small chance of a system moving through that could bring some light flurries. Better chance we'll just see some cloud coverage from that. Looking at our 7-day forecast, we're going to continue dropping off. Monday expected to only reach the upper 30s, but we're going to continue to see those peaks of sunshine throughout the first half of the week, and then you can see we're going to continue a bit of a warming trend. Partly sunny Tuesday and Wednesday, but those temperatures are going to climb. High pressure is going to be in control, which is going to help warm us up throughout the week. We'll be 50 degrees by Friday.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Alyssa. Volunteers working to make sure students learning from home have access to all of the same supplies they would in a classroom. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum explains why this could be crucial to students' success and how you can get involved and help.
The goal is to create more than 15,000 homework kits for students in need. Pencils, crayons, folders, and all the basic school supplies you'd normally find in a classroom. That's what's going into these homework kits being created by Teach Indy, Teachers Treasures, the Mind Trust, and the 2022 College Football Playoffs Host Committee. They're supplies not all students have access to while at home, doing e-learning or at community learning sites.
It really is important to be able to stay focused on the teacher and in the learning. So if the teacher is teaching, you're able to find that pencil real quick and get started on whatever the assignment is. And so I think, to me, it's like not doing a ton to go above and beyond, but just making sure that we have the basic needs met.
The kits will be distributed at several locations across the city and at certain food distribution sites. They will also be available at the Mind Trust Community Learning Centers.
In addition to all the other things that we're worried about as parents, not having to worry about school supplies or not having to try to fit that in the budget when we're now paying for things like increased utilities and, all the other stuff we've got going on, just to know that somebody thought enough of parents and teachers and students to do something like this, I think it's amazing.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
Well, organizers are still looking for volunteers to help assemble the kits. We have much more information on that at WRTV.com. We'll be right back. Lowe's and the NFL are teaming up to spread a little holiday cheer. On Giving Tuesday, they announced a plan to donate $1 million worth of pre-lit Christmas trees to families and organizations impacted by the pandemic. Over the next 2 weeks, more than 13,000 Christmas trees will be delivered. Some of the trees will be sent directly to homes, first responder stations, and nonprofit housing organizations. Tomorrow is a big day for the annual WRTV Toy Drive. We'll be collecting donations outside the Fashion Mall, Castleton Square Mall, Hamilton Town Center, and Greenwood Park Mall. You can also drop off new unwrapped toys at U-Store locations across central Indiana. For more information, including how to donate right from your phone, go to WRTV.com/Toy Drive. Alyssa.
And tomorrow's going to be a bit of a chilly day. Temperatures falling about 10 degrees from where we hit today. 41 for Saturday. The good news is we'll see some sunshine. 40 on Sunday, even colder on Monday. But then we do have a bit of a climb as we head through next week into the low 50s by Friday.
Nice treat for next week. There it is, the bright lights of the big city. That's how we leave you here at 7 o'clock. We'll see you back here tonight at 11. Have a good evening.